Ian.
Yes.
It's so good to see you again.
Hey, we're back again.
And today, Ian, what are we talking about today? I mean, you've seen so many of them, you can probably imitate them.
I think it's... Volcanoes.
Wow,
Volcanoes
that
today.
Was good.
That's good.
That was good.
Hi, I'm Ian.
I'm Justine.
Back in the 90s, we hosted Lonely Planet.
Also known as Globe Trekker or Pilot Guides. Now we're back.
Welcome to our Looney Planet with Ian
and Justine.
Yeah!
Woohoo! First of all, let me just tell the viewers and listeners who are watching this, we are not volcanologists. You will learn nothing about volcanoes today except how mere mortals like Ian and I survived getting really pretty close to them and on top of them and all of that, right? Kind of want to set up expectations here.
Yeah, I think we lost that in the first series. Don't worry about that. I think they something that doesn't shout out expert, the pair of us, yeah.
I just can't believe how close we got to stuff. I mean, especially when you're climbing an active volcano that's, you know, perhaps dormant in the moment. There's always that feeling like it could blow at any time.
There's an absurd extreme danger element involved in it, which you cannot cater for and cannot do anything about. You know, I think that's part the appeal. When you first see one, I think it was South Pacific was the first time I saw a volcano when I was doing the show, and it's that shape, isn't it? That, you know, the classic cone,
that conical snow-capped
like,
shape, yeah.
Morning. In fact, it's 6 in the morning, and I'm flying to Vanuatu. It was time to move on to the island of Tanna. Tanna is dominated by the massive Yasur volcano. It is still active, and no matter where you are on the island, your clothes and skin get covered in black dust.
And they was like, it's the most accessible and the most active volcano in the world. And I'm like, everyone says that, but this one was out of fucking control, honestly. It was almost like you parked your car at a park and ride right next to the volcano, this way to the volcano, and we all got out and was like, okay. And the lip was just there. And it was like, yeah, just like it's a, 15, 20 minute walk up there, up you go. And then you hear rumbling and smoke coming out the top of it. And you haven't even got, you've only just got out of the car. Wow. And then we got to the end of the lip and it was like, oh my God, it was like a perfect circle there. This was like from a film. Like the Land Time Forgot, that film. There were dinosaurs flying around and all that. But it's just like a film. It's just mind-blowing, Oh, man. And also, you've never seen a colour like that in your life. It's a living colour. So you've got this thing that is just bubbling like that, and you're like, look, that one there, and it just sort of like slow motion. It almost opens up, and all the oranges, reds, yellow, and a fire, and just suddenly goes in the air, and you're like, and the sound is like, the sound man is like, it's so loud.
The sound guy's like bleeding from the ears, right?
Yes, yeah. And all the lava's in the air, splatters on the side of the cone and stuff, and you're just like, God, there's nothing like it. It's just insane. And remember, we stayed there and it was getting dark, and they were saying, well, because all the lava splattered on the other side, like south of the crater, because that's where the wind was going. But as the time got, we didn't realise, we're just like kids, come on, let's just stay for the last big one. Ooh, yeah. And
like fireworks or something.
Oh God, yeah. By then we were like, and then it was like, this one was like, and it was like, we were like, and what happened, because it cooled down, so they were getting more violent, plus the wind had changed that we didn't even realise. So we was all like, look at that, what just bits. And I swear to God, there was a bit of lava about that big, molten lava, that missed us by about, I'd say, a metre, even less. We were just like, and we all just looked at each other and was like, run, just like scared rabbits. We were like, and then another explosion went off, and we was like, I had the tripod and I was like this, not me, take her. It's like as if a tripod is really going to save you from molten lava. Like, knock that off. And then we was just running down the mountain, and I remember director go, keep to the path. We're like, fuck the path. We're just, but it was the most, obviously it added to everything. Once we were safe, we were just like, it was just so mental. It's just like, so, running from lava, nearly getting hit by lava. And then the only thing that I regret is that I should have sneaked over to the molten lava that was on the ground and got my elbow and just like had a designer molten lava burn right there. And I wouldn't tell anyone. I'd just be in the pub and I'd be like, what's that? What? What's what? That on your arm? Oh, that, didn't it? Oh, yeah, I just got hit by lava when I was out in an active volcano in the South Pacific. Don't worry about that. It's nothing. Yeah, like a real cocky arsehole. Yeah. But that's my first experience with volcanoes. And
it nearly killed you. I mean, honestly, it nearly killed you.
So, yeah, which would have been a great story. Imagine the viewers for that. Woo. Took his face off. Yeah, no, just insane.
What do you remember of that town that was in the foothills of the volcano in Vanuatu?
I would use the term town quite loosely. There was a hut there, I think, I seem to remember.
In the shadow of the volcano is Sulphur Bay, home to the John Frum cargo cult. The John Frum cult started in 1940 when a group of kava drinkers saw a spirit emerge from the sea who promised them great wealth if they denounced the Christian ways of the missionaries. A year later, American troops arrived with endless supplies of weapons, Coca-Cola and cigarettes, confirming the spirit's prophecy. Now they're waiting for John Frum's second coming.
And it was so bizarre that it was like, are they making it up as a joke or something? So they would, the story went that someone came to them in a dream, or they'd been on the old or something, and a guy had said, you're going to get lots of wealth soon, and worship me and this will happen. And he was vaguely dressed up like a G.I. Joe, like American soldier.
This
and then
is
course
John Frum.
John Frum, yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it. I was like, John Frum, where did they get that name from? But so they then for years and years worshipped this God. They had effigies of him, they were Christian before, but he was on the cross and that. And then, of course, it would have been the Second World War. I would have thought that then the soldiers, obviously, a lot of American soldiers just did turn up, and they had chocolate, Coca-Cola, and all these sort of shiny things. And of course, then everyone went, "Oh my God, the prophecies come true!" So it's madness, absolute madness. So yeah, I couldn't make head or tail. And I think there's still about 500 of them there now that still believe. I think most of them have gone back to Christianity. I don't know which.
Do you remember the person in the village who sang the hymn to you?
I remember his hairstyle.
I was shown round the village by Willie, whose grandfather saw the vision of John Frum. He sang me one of the village's hymns.
Camry Memorial Yanaka Pierre Caru Kurira Kasakira ya Green Hill Messin Gandani Naituke.
Right old 70s afro. What a boo with a big sort of ginger streak in it. Yeah, I remember the song. I didn't understand one word of it, but yeah.
He had a beautiful voice. Huh?
Yeah, it was quite a melodic sound. The whole thing was quite bizarre.
So Vanuatu was your first volcano. We did so many firsts, as young people hosting that show, right? So one of the firsts for me was climbing up a active volcano, I think the second tallest in the world at Cotopaxi in Ecuador. I knew it was coming up. So during the shoot, I'd meet other Ecuadorians and travelers, and I'd ask them about it because I was quite nervous about it.
I bet.
Because the summit's at 19,000 feet. So as I came across Ecuadorians and travelers, I'd always say, "Oh, have any of you ever climbed Cotopaxi?" And what I kept hearing from people is, "Oh, you might get altitude sickness."
I've had some experience with altitude sickness here. I don't think I gave myself enough time to acclimate. And you did too, trying to climb Imbabura.
When we went on Imbabura, I crapped out on Imbabura because I got kind of sick on the way up and actually passed out for a little while, took a little nap. So that's one of the reasons we didn't think that we could climb Cotopaxi at this time.
And I was like, "Oh, what can I do to prepare for it?" And they were like, "You could bring a sugar bar with you or something, but the fact is, nobody knows who gets altitude sickness."
Sugar bar.
Right?
That's all right,
like one guide said to me that one of the travelers who he was with, she was older, not in great shape, bit overweight. She did fine, whereas like a couple of the young guys in the 20s, really fit, they got altitude sickness. So I knew that I had absolutely no control over whether I would get it or not. And I wasn't sure if I would get it or not because I'd never been that high up before. So we ended up in this little town, sort of, like 3/4 of the way into the shoot, little town called Baños.
Baños is popular with travelers from both Ecuador and abroad, although surprisingly the atmosphere is unspoiled.
Really sweet town with baños, with warm water pools, and it was like this really relaxing spot. Just gorgeous and quiet and calm. And there was an indigenous uprising in the villages around Baños and protesting the government taking more and more of their land.
Ecuador's Indians prefer to be called indigenous people. The majority are Quechua-speaking descendants of the Inca. They're peasant farmers and most live in abject poverty. Today in Alausi, they're on strike. Aggrieved by recent land reforms and rising food and gas prices, they're protesting in the towns and blocking roads all over the country.
I don't think I belong here. I think I'm going to get out of here if I can. I don't think there are any buses leaving, though.
And the roadways were all covered with trees that had been felled to block traffic, to block the military, tires that were set afire. And we were supposed to be in Baños for one night. Very rarely on a Globetrotter shoot would you be someplace more than one night, right? Yeah. And then the indigenous uprising occurred, and we weren't able to leave Baños for 3 days, which worked out really well because Carlos and I were falling in love. Yeah, it was so nice.
The altitude sickness was fine. Then you're like rumping the sound man.
So our team was in Baños. We couldn't leave it. It was this bucolic, beautiful setting. I was so happy that we were stranded there. And, but then we had to finish the shoot. And the two things left on the shoot was the Amazon, which is sea level and below, and Cotopaxi, which is at its summit, 19,000 feet. So we were supposed to have 3 days in the base camp at Cotopaxi to acclimatize before we ascended, right? Yeah. So we go to the Amazon, we do our shoot in the Amazon.
A very sensual jungle experience.
And we have to hightail it to Cotopaxi because we have to wrap the show the next day. We had to push the show all the way to the end because we were stranded in Baños. So we finish the shoot in the Amazon. We get on a military aircraft that flies us to Quito. We get in a car. We drive to base camp to the parking lot at Cotopaxi, right? Yeah. The van unpacks at about 15,000 feet. We walk another 1,000 feet up to like 16,000 to the refuge, to the base camp there.
This is the refuge. It's about a 45-minute to an hour walk from the parking lot. And Yvonne has gone in to make some dinner. It's about 6 o'clock right now.
And we know that we have to be up at 2 a.m.
Wow.
Right? We got 8 hours between arriving and having to start the climb.
Really, it's insane.
Right. And the thing is with Cotopaxi, and I think, a lot of snow-covered mountains, at a certain point in the late afternoon, the snow starts melting, right? And because the volcano is all ash, the snow comes down really, really fast. So you got to get off the top of the volcano before the snow starts melting. So we see these 3 Spanish climbers who have been there already 3 nights. They're professional climbers with, snowshoes, ice pick, serious climbers. They'd been there 3 days acclimatizing for this ascent. We rock up at around 6 o'clock at night.
No, it's terrible, isn't it?
And our producer and Carlos, our sound man, 2 strong people, before I knew it, they were on the floor. They'd gotten altitude sickness. They couldn't move. Wow. So they were kind of catatonic on the floor. And the only way to get out of having altitude sickness is to go down as slowly and steadily as you possibly can. But they couldn't even move at that point. So the Spanish climbers are finishing up their dinner, looking at us like we're completely crazy because they've been there 3 nights waiting to acclimatize.
Well. The Ponzi film crew are here.
Justine.
And they're right.
Completely right.
With scum.
Well, when they told me that this was their 3rd night, I was like, are we doing this? Should we be doing this? Like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. They're like, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And then Carlos and Kaz, the producer, they go down. I'm like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Anyway, 2 a.m., me, Peter Boyd McLean, the director, John is the cameraman. We've had no time to acclimatize. We start climbing from 16,000. The summit is at 19,000.
You have to start the climb in the dark in order to avoid the late afternoon melting snows. You need an experienced guide, crampons on your boots to grip the ice, an ice pick, and lots of stamina. Scaling Ecuador's giant cone volcanoes has attracted and challenged mountaineers from all over the world.
We're going to climb to the top, yeah? Yes. What's the altitude here?
5,000.
5,000 meters.
Exactly.
This is the highest I've ever been in my life.
Very good for you.
How many times have you been to the top?
62 times. This could be my 63.
And it was really strange. I mean, I felt good. Peter Boyd McLean did really well until the end. The cameraman did really well until the end. And then we got to like 18,500 feet.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to 19,000 because the snow started melting. I think shooting and carrying all the gear just slowed us down.
At 18,000 feet, we stopped just short of the summit.
But I'll never forget being at like 18,000 feet with my ice picks and my snowshoes, freezing and looking down the volcano, down the side of the mountain. And Peter Boyd and the cameraman are like, It was just like, John, the cameraman, trying to get up the hill, and Peter Boyd like pushing him up. And then they took turns, and then Peter Boyd had the camera and John was pushing him up.
Yeah.
They didn't bring the tripod for that. Yeah.
No, good.
Oh my gosh. I mean, just looking down on them, they looked so withered, finished.
I mean, it looked so tough. And you're just plodding along and that ice, and it's ridiculous.
There's this amazing scene where Sami Sabiti, he was hosting the Pacific Northwest show, and he's climbing to the summit of Mount St. Helens.
Right, this is the edge of the tree line. Beyond this point, it's pretty much just rocks and gravel. Any hopes I had of the weather remaining good are dashed. Out of nowhere, clouds roll in, and I'm suddenly in the middle of a blizzard. This is starting to feel a bit like Mission Impossible now. I've reached the edge of the snow line, and as you can see, it's snowing. A bit of hail. It's really, really cold. My fingers are numb. And I've still got 1,500 feet to the top. The only way to keep warm is to keep on going.
It was a really bad weather. He didn't have a guide. I couldn't believe he reached the top. Sami's really strong, but he was folding.
Well, I made it! This is the edge of the volcano crater. I can't go any further. It's really, really, really cold up here. The wind is absolutely howling. There's ice everywhere. I can hardly talk. I'm sure I'm not making any sense right now.
And I just kept thinking about, oh my gosh, I wonder how the cameraman or camerawoman was holding up. Do you have a memory when you're climbing Mount Kilimanjaro of looking at the camera person and the director and the sound, what they were going through while you were going through what you were going through?
I think to be honest, we was all in the same boat. If I was suffering, then the few people would be suffering even more. Gosh.
Because they're carrying that tripod.
Well, no, I'll tell you what, just to add to it, yeah? No, they're not. The porters are carrying it. I've got a bag this big on my back, and I'm like, oh, it's so heavy. And then the porter's walking back with the camera in a case this big, in a pair of Wellington boots. Right there, how you doing? Slap me on the back, and I'm like, I can't hardly walk. And he's just dancing. I've got all my bloody Gore-Tex, Nortex on, the super climbing jacket, all my things. He's in a pair of wellies and shorts. And he's got the camera the size of a small town going past me, going, oh, yeah, you're right, and we're nearly there. I'm like, just like, but that's porters. I mean, they are just
right, you had porters in Kilimanjaro.
It's over 19,000 feet to the top of Kilimanjaro. It's essential to have a good guide.
How many times have you climbed it?
6 times now, yes.
Have you enjoyed all of them?
I enjoy all of them to an extent. They all hurt.
Yeah.
But the pain actually is forgotten eventually, and you remember the good things.
What, a year later or something?
Not actually so much.
Well, in theory, this is what should happen. 4 days up and 1 day down, but in between that, there could be a lot of hitches like altitude sickness, generally being knackered and miserable. But I'm going to try very hard on this one, very hard indeed.
4 days of all walking through like a forest, and then you come out of the forest and you see Kilimanjaro for the first time, which is just stunning.
There it is. That's my first glimpse of the mountain.
I mean, it's beautiful. Perfect romantic volcano up there with a little sliver of ice on top. It's just like, wow. It looks so far, it's miles away. Oh, then you've got another 2 days because you're climatizing and it's rocks and then it's ash and you're like, the time you get to this base camp, altitude sickness, it's like your head's caught in a vice like that. And like you talk to someone and he's like, yeah, well, when I was like, why do people do it like to the guide? And he said, yeah, that's Actually, no, that was the Maasai tribe. You know, we've lived around the mountain, love the mountain, and we appreciate the mountain, but I never want to climb it. I was like, as soon as the white man comes, he's like, whoa, mountain, whoa, let's get up there. And they're like, why? Why? And I'm like, I'm with you. Why? Why?
Why? To say I've been there, done there.
Is that why?
Tick it off my list.
Yeah.
I don't know. No.
The most important thing, I think, is to have an image of yourself on top of the mountain.
There's no greater accomplishment. I mean, it can be compared with sex, in my opinion.
I kind of got emotional.
So it'd be good to have sex up there then, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's something I haven't done that would probably be very nice, yes.
I kind of wanted to burst out in tears. I don't know if it was because I was so tired or what, but it was the toughest thing I'd ever done, and so it was a real sense of accomplishment.
I'm not, so like you said, so there you are, you're in your hut, you know you've got to get it's pitch dark, you know you've got to get up at 2 a.m. to catch the sun rise, your head's squashed together, you're not going to get any sleep at all, you're just like that, and then you get up, it's freezing outside, freezing. You got all your layers on, which soon you're going to have to take off because it's hot. And then I was just plodding along. The only reason why it's all on scree, so it's 2 steps up, 1 step down, and you're like zigzagging. And the only reason I got, because I could see a pair of guys, white trainers in front of me, I just followed them like that. And that was it. It's just like, God, it was just hell. And other people, even walkers and climbers said, yeah, no, because it's just straight up, that is hell. And it is. And by, it's 5 hours, you're just like, I didn't care in the end of it. I know I should be a bit more, And then you get to the top, yeah, it's a beautiful view, sort of. And it was just, that's why I'm glad that they let me do that piece of camera where you say, like at the end, saying, yeah, when it's hard and it was tough, but you have that sensation, that awe of like, wow, I've achieved something. Oh, it was all worth it.
It's been a 6-hour climb to get here to Gilman's Point, just to see the sunrise. And although it's been a really hard climb, and it almost killed me, that sense of achievement that you get at the end, well, I haven't got it at all. I hated it. It nearly killed me. It's not better than sex, and I feel like dying. Yep.
So it's nice that you can say that. Even now, people are like, well, that is a cocky position. Even on, British television, one of those right to replies, they were like, he's in a privileged position to be climbing up the mountain, and all he does is moan when he gets to the top. He's out of order. But everyone says, oh, it's wonderful view, it's everything. Honestly, I just didn't care by the end of it. It was just get me out of here. I'm so knackered.
Well, that is why Globetrotter was such a groundbreaking travel show.
Yeah.
We got to say what was true for us. Like I remember when we were in the Galapagos Islands in Ecuador, and I get seasick if I just say the word boat. Like I just said the word. I feel nauseous, and I'm not exaggerating. I feel it here. Like it's so bizarre. And so there I was on the most beautiful boat in the most beautiful place in the world, and the director says to me, stop.
That was wrong of me.
That was so wrong. Hold on 1 second.
Sorry, that was it. I apologise.
Yeah, okay.
Come on, you're in the boat.
I'm on this boat, this incredible boat in the most extraordinary place in the world. And Peter Boyd McLean was the director. He's like, all right, Justine, can you come up onto the boat, give us a piece to camera, tell us what you're feeling? And I basically said, I feel like throwing up. I feel really sick.
I had a horrible night's sleep. It was my first morning. And as you can see, I don't have my legs yet. They say it takes, the first or second day to get over this, and then I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
When that cut was submitted to I think it was the Australians, they said, oh, you have to cut that. And Ian Cross, to his credit, said, no, that's part of what travel is, and that's her experience, right? And that's what the show is really all about. But then everybody in the office knew, like, Justine and boats. Justine and boats, right?
Yeah, get her in a boat.
Right. So then we were doing a shoot in the Eastern Caribbean. Okay, how do you get around islands? To get from island to island and around. Oh, God, I can't. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, no, is that a squall?
So, yeah, we had to cross from one island to another when we were in the Eastern Caribbean. Yeah. This has nothing to do with volcanoes. Okay. Oh, no. Actually, this does have to do with volcanoes. We had to cross from Grenada to Carriacou, and we're taking a boat. And I was nervous just because I knew we were going to be on a boat, but there was really no other way to get there. I did not want to take a plane. I don't even know if there was an airport where we were going. So, we get on the boat, and it's like a small cargo boat.
There's some islands around here that are supposedly really beautiful, but they're a little difficult to get to. Aren't you helping? Where there's a will, there's a way. Sometimes you can find these cargo boats, and if you pay a little bit of money and you pitch in, then you can hitch a ride with them. Thanks. God, what's in this? What's in here? Gas. Well, that's comforting.
It's taking canisters of butane. There were loads of soda pop bottles. You couldn't really stand anywhere on the boat because it was just covered with cargo. Yeah. And at a certain point, I was already nauseous just being on the point, and then all of a sudden the boat goes crazy. I mean, it just starts rocking, and I was terrified. But it turned out that they knew that this was going to happen because at that point, our boat was going over an active underwater volcano.
It's a little choppy.
Well, the reason why it's choppy and sort of rough around here because there's an underground volcano.
We're going over an underground volcano?
Exactly. We call it Kick and Jimmy.
What'd you say, Kick and Jimmy? Why is that?
Because the waves kick like a mule.
Bloody hell. Wow, lucky you didn't go diving.
It was weird because it was this beautiful, clear day.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it felt like we were in this terrible, terrible storm.
Yeah.
But the storm was coming from underneath us. So it was still a beautiful day.
Yeah.
But the boat was being thrown around.
Yeah.
I was pinned to the door, was the only place I could sit because everywhere else were butane gas canisters. And I was just vomiting and vomiting.
I tell you what it is. It's like, it's amazing that it doesn't matter what it's like, you can still have a shitty day in paradise, and everyone is like, this should be heaven, but I'm having a shitty day. It's like you described, the best boat, best scenery. What more? You're going from island to island in the Caribbean, but you're having a shitty day. But
there's an amazing sequence of you, Ian, where you seemed like you almost had another close to Vanuatu experience, where you were at the volcano in Réunion Island in the Indian Ocean, Piton de la Fournaise.
Yeah, yeah.
You were riding your motorcycle there.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that is it for me. I am freezing. Oh. This weather is unbelievable. It just chops and changes. Like 1 minute, it's sunshine. Then it's like foggy. And now it's raining. It's like about 2 in the morning now and I can't sleep because I'm a bit worried about the volcano, because it's erupted. Like, I think it's 30 times in the last 7 years, and this hut is right at the foot of the volcano, It's getting a bit scary. I don't want to end up like, we all know about Pompei. It's like in an ash museum, like that. It's just a bit, and there's a snorer. I don't even know if the volcano's erupting or it's just snoring. It's driving me mad. Oh, well, let's try anyway. Shut up!
And if the weather hadn't been bad, you might have been able to get closer to it,
Yes, yeah.
I can't believe it. I've been waiting in that stinky hut, yeah, for 3 days and the weather ain't changed. Look at it, it's rubbish. It's like rainy, foggy, misty. I can't even get up the volcano. What a waste of time.
Do you remember the smell of it? Because when I was climbing the volcano in Guatemala, Pacaya, everyone was talking about, oh, make sure, you're going at the right time and the wind's in the right direction because that volcano releases toxic gases. Did you remember the smell of the volcano?
It's that bitter sulfur smell that gets in your nostrils. It doesn't make you gag like like dog poo or something like that, but it's just that, oh Jesus. Oh.
I heard about these toxic gases.
Yeah, every active volcano has very toxic gases. However, the wind is blowing from the north today, so the gases are going to be going away from where we are climbing.
I mean, you just sort of count on the fact that the guide that you're with knows where the wind is going, but when we got up to the top, the wind was going everywhere.
Well, of course.
And I thought, well, where are the toxic gases?
He was halfway down the mountain. You're on your own, Justine.
And we were above the clouds.
Yeah.
The lava's pouring down the volcano.
It is almost like Lord of the Rings, Smeagol going into Mordor. And you feel like, oh my God, I'm in some kind of dodgy fantasy land. Can I say another? The only fact that's prompted me to actually remember that there's a volcano that's blue lava. Have you ever seen that?
No.
I swear to God, yeah. There's something about the sulfur, the chemicals, that is actually blue. I'm not even shitting you there. It really is extraordinary. You've never seen anything like it. It's brilliant. But also, can I just say just one thing? The one place that I have never been and looks the nuttiest, I just can't get my head around it, even how it works, is when I saw your program when you was in Pompei with the volcano and the bodies and the frescoes and the tiled floors. Like you said, it was just like it been made yesterday. And then you've got these bodies. Just tell me about that, because it's just nuts.
Naples is situated on the bay overlooked by the active volcano Vesuvius.
I wanted to be an archaeologist for first year of college. I was studying archaeology, and I'd seen slides of Pompeii and heard about Pompeii, but being there.
Ancient Pompeii was a bustling, wealthy port when on August 24th, 79 AD, the mighty Vesuvius exploded. Fiery ash and pumice stone covered the entire town, stopping life in its tracks and preserving a piece of history under its crust.
I mean, imagine, Ian, you're going about your day, right? And Vesuvius, the volcano that you hear from time to time, it erupts. And within seconds, the toxic gases are knocking people out. And then the ash gets into their mouth, on their body, and, the body disintegrates with time, but that ash leaves a kind of mold. And so you actually see...
That makes no sense to me.
The position people were in when they were hit.
Yeah, it's almost like, it's like caught in time. And it goes that almost to the moment.
Yes.
And
yes,
I can't imagine seeing them bodies and stuff there. And also how you describe how the bodies are formed makes no sense to me. But it's like you're in like you said, you're in someone's house.
The main attraction here are the mysterious frescoes that give the villa its name. The paintings depict the initiation of a young woman into the cult of Bacchus, the god of wine, The cult was secretive even in Roman times, but rumors of their drunken orgies were legendary.
It's just amazing. And these frescoes were painted 2,000 years ago, and they still look perfect. I feel like I'm inside somebody's house. That's really the amazing thing about Pompeii, is there's no barriers. You can get so close to the frescoes. You can walk on the tiled floors. You feel like you're walking through other people's homes.
I mean, I was
Madness.
like 30 when I was there, and it's like, oh my gosh, you can live in this absolutely extraordinary home, and then in a moment, you're this ash-covered mold of a human.
It's like you're right here when the volcano happened. It's not at all like a museum. It's actually a bit overwhelming.
And it's not unlike, here I am in Berkeley, California, near San Francisco. An earthquake could hit in the middle of this conversation. Like we have no control over when these things happen.
Yeah, of course. Oh,
right?
God, yeah, anyone could die like that. It's just, doesn't matter what happens. Of course you can.
And that exact same thing when I remember in 1980 when Mount St. Helens blew in Washington, which is, just the state north of California, two states north of California. And I think like 57 people were like killed instantly who were in a campground nearby. And when I watched the episode in the Pacific Northwest that Sami Sabiti hosted, he speaks with a survivor, someone who got out in the nick of time from the explosion at Mount St. Helens.
Yeah.
And he still seemed to be quite traumatized from the experience.
Yeah, we're actually hiking on the top and the insides of the missing part of Mount St. Helens.
Really? This was never here before?
No, the original valley floor is about 200 feet below us. And this deposit came off the volcano at about 100 miles an hour, sweeping down over here and then to where Charlie was across the valley.
200 feet? I mean, I just can't imagine 200 plus feet of this on top of the campsite where we were, let alone the people that were there with us.
Must be kind of eerie.
It's very eerie. I saw this huge cloud and I saw it coming. Just had no idea that this is what it was.
What did you hear? Because it's quite quiet now. It's quite still.
It was quieter that morning. When you first woke up, it was, like I said, it was the raw silence I think anybody could ever hear. There wasn't a bird sound. There wasn't a chirp. There wasn't a breeze of wind. It wasn't anything. And in a matter of 2 minutes, it changed. Suddenly, you're seeing animals run, you're seeing birds fly, tree branches are flying at you. And so from that moment forward, I just took off down a dirt road. And it wasn't even that wide. I mean, there were trees on both sides. And then suddenly I could look in my rearview mirror and I could just see this rolling. I could just see it tumble. Just so you get the perspective of what this is, I brought some photographs down that we were able to take. That's the wall that you can see coming at you. You just get this sense of how incredibly big this is.
This is what you saw coming to you?
Yes.
And you're just running for your life?
I see it, yeah. You're just running for your life.
Jeez.
Going 100, 150 miles an hour.
And that's what creates all of this. My sense of it is how small you are when it comes to something of this magnitude. And
right.
There were lots of folks affected that day. A lot of folks that didn't make it home.
You're a lucky man.
I feel that way. I think about it all the time.
I mean, it's like, and also, they can if it's used, you can wipe out half the planet, I imagine. Maybe not that, but even in Iceland, when that one went up, because I went there, I had been there, and then about a year later or something, ridiculous explosion, all the dust cloud came over Europe. Not everyone was grounded for 3-4 months, no planes, no nothing, and it was just like wow.
Right.
And that was just the ash, just covered Europe and just all part. We went, I can't see a thing. It was all the particles in the air, so there's no.
What year was that?
2010, I think that was. Which could have gone on for. I mean, if that had been much bigger, then you would have probably and say it was lasted 10 years of covering, that would have been destroyed the whole of Europe in 10 years like that, with economy, with travel, with, earning, with everything, because you couldn't do anything. So Europe would have just been no more. It would just have been a disaster zone. Absolutely crazy, isn't it?
And it can happen. I mean, there's 44 active volcanoes as we speak.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's like, where's the program that I was watching? Was Krakatoa in Indonesia. Everyone, that was when you was a kid, you learnt about Krakatoa, which blew up, and you could hear the explosion in bloody Australia and Sri Lanka, and there was like ripples in the Thames or something, and, and the ash there must have destroyed a huge amount, So like you say, we're only that far away from it, that it could happen.
I remember reading that, Edward Munch, the painting of the Scream.
Norwegian.
Yeah. Remember that painting?
Yes, yeah.
So apparently the Scream, might have been inspired by the sort of red volcanic aerosol cloud that was formed from Krakatoa. Sort of makes sense when you look at that painting.
What do you mean it sort of makes sense? He's living in Oslo in Norway, and then he's like, there's a bit of gas coming over from bloody Indonesia.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That's the first time I've heard that one. I'm just like...
Red volcanic aerosol cloud.
Yeah, someone's trying to sell something.
Well, I remember, a number of years back, there were some really bad fires here in the Bay Area. And really bad fires. And I remember one morning, waking up around 6 o'clock in the morning, I look outside. It was orange, like that color orange you see in lava that's not even like a real color. Like the sky was the color of lava. I'm telling you, it felt like the apocalypse was coming. Yeah. And that was very scary. But did we move? Do I live in a different house? Is it possible that fire is going to come back around? It's just a matter of not if, but when. And yet we live with it. People live at the base of volcanoes and,
Yeah, at the base of a bloody, exactly that, little village. Well, why don't you go over there? No, it's where we live.
Right, people still buy houses on coastlines.
Yes, right.
And pay a lot.
Yeah. Whoop, oh dear. Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's David Attenborough, he had a show with volcanoes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so obvious. I feel like an idiot even saying it out loud. But yeah, just that the volcano is what brings more earth to the earth. I mean, it's creating our land. Our land is coming out of the volcano and creating layer upon layer upon layer. It's the furnace at our feet at all times on our loony planet. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit like us. It might have been Hawaii or something, where there's like quite a well-built road, and you see you walking on it, and then suddenly there's just ash and everything that's just taking it over. And then you just go up on the ash, and the road just stops like it's gone right into the volcano. It's just crazy.
Thanks to everyone for watching our Loony Planet or listening to our Loony Planet. We really appreciate that you're here. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, it really does help if you subscribe.
Subscribe. Press. So we
subscribe.
I've not been funny. This is the tip of the iceberg. We've got so many bloody stories. We're only just getting started here. Oh my God, we're going to bore you for at least 10 years. There's no escape
so
from
if you want to be bored with more stories, subscribe to the channel. We do need your support. We really do.
Till next time. Hey!
Bye.
I'm melting. Oh God, got my back in now.
Season 1, Episode 5, Volcanoes. Hosts Ian Wright and Justine Shapiro. Producer Stephen Lenhoff. Editor Gregory Sharpin. Sound mix Dan Olmsted at Immersive Sound. Our Loony Planet was recorded at Cuckoo Studios in Berkeley, California, USA, and at Haverhill Music Hub in Haverhill, UK.
Season 1 was made possible thanks to a grant from the Khosravi Family Trust. Executive producer Justine Shapiro, series producer Liliana Cortez, producer and editor Gregory Sharpin, producer and editor Thomas Lorne, producer Stephen Lenhoff. Media management and website Sage Bruscia, bookkeeper Craig Paul, fundraising strategist Bree Castellini. Our Looney Planet was produced by Matlana, a 501c3 nonprofit organization.
The last bit of Kilimanjaro. I'm on my own. The porters have left me.
Get up, Ian. Come on.
Fair enough.
Making our Looney Planet a little less lonely, one podcast at a time. Yes, we do see the irony.